Calling all of you. So today is the first session for our AS past papers, yearly past papers. We are starting with the first yearly past paper. The first yearly past paper is of 9618 and the variant is 11 October November 2023. As we know that the time allowed for this paper is paper 1, so its time allowed for this paper is 1 hour 30 minutes. So it is the first paper, so we will be going through with the instructions as well. Now, what are the instructions? You need to answer all the questions. You should be aware of that thing that you are not given with any sort of the choices. You may use the black or dark blue pen. You need to write the name, center number over here, the candidate number. That's quite initial. Okay. If you're not gonna do that, so obviously there might be the chances of a issue. Um, Apart from that, you are not allowed to use any sort of the erasable pen or correction fluid. Do not write anything on the barcode. This is the barcode. You cannot write on this with anything. Apart from that, you may use the HB pencil for making any sort of the diagrams, graphs, or rough working. Calculators must not be used in this paper. So the total marks for this paper is 75 marks. Paper 2 is also 75 marks. Overall paper of AS level for computer sciences of 150 marks. Now coming to the very first question. What does the very first question says? It says, draw one line from each vector graphic term to its most appropriate description. Okay, now you need to draw the line. So there are the terms given over here. There are the descriptions given over here. So coming up to the first description, what does that say? A component created using a formula. So there are a small component over there. And how are you going to develop that particular component? So you can develop that component with the help of the drawing objects. Now the drawing objects means over here, it might be the circles, it might be the parallelograms or something like that. Then they are saying define one characteristic of a component. So obviously defining the characteristics. So characteristic means the properties of that particular component. So it will be a property over it. The last one will be obviously one thing, and that is data required to create all the components in the graphic. So the all components are made up with the drawing list. So this was for 2 marks. 2 marks for all three terms and 1 mark if only one line is corrected. Okay. Then they are saying in the part B, state what is meant by the bit depth of a bitmap image. Now, bit depth means that how many colors basically are being utilized of a bitmap image and explain how changing the bit depth affects the image. So, as I just told you, that when it comes to the bit depth, so bit depth means that how many bits are required to represent a color. So, you may define over here bits required to represent a single color, or each color you may write in any manner, present a single color. Okay, now what was the other thing that they were utilizing? They were saying and explain how changing the bit sorry bit depth affects the image. Now, what could be the thing? Like if you are increasing it, and if you are decreasing it, so what could be the thing? So if I'm going to increase the bit depth, this means that I'm going to increase the range of the colors. So you may write it down, increasing bit depth, sorry, may affect or may increase the range of colors, whereas decreasing it may do it vice versa. Okay, and also make it less realistic. So this could be the answer for this thing. If you're going to increase, so there will be more color ranges over there, as well as it will be more realistic. Whereas when it comes to decreasing the color depth, so it will be less. There will be less ranges, and it might be less realistic as well. Now they're saying in the third part, explain why a bitmap image is often compressed before it is attached to an email. So obviously we know that reducing the file size may take a less space. It could be easier to transmit from one end to another end, as well as it might be utilizing less bandwidth as compared to the non-compressed image. So we can write these things. Reducing, or you may say compressing, reducing the size may require less storage space, whereas it will also require less bandwidth to be transmitted. Question number two. Now, what does the question number two say? Question number two says over here, our school has a LAN, a local area network. That means a network that is working within the particular domain. So obviously, if it's a school LAN, so that will be working only within the school premises. So the school has a local area network. The LAN connects to the internet using a router. Describe the function of the router in a network. Okay, now the function of the router there are multiple functions of the router. The main functions of the router, you may say that it finds the best route to uh, to the destination, towards the destination. It receives the packets, it sends the packet from the internal network as well as from the external network. Apart from that, it is utilized to implement the firewalls as well. It analyzes the data as well, that what is coming in your network and what is going out of the network. It blocks the data as well uh, that is not matching the criteria. So there are multiple points that could be written over here. So we could start writing down in this manner. Routers are used to implement firewalls on a network that gives an access to block any data not matching the given criteria. It also receives data from other networks and finds best route to destination. So these are a few of the points that are the functions of the router. Now they are saying complete complete the following table by writing the purpose of each of these hardware devices used to support the LAN. Now, obviously, when it comes to the devices, so, sorry, to the LAN, so we do require multiple devices. Like we do require the bridges, do require the amplifiers, we do require the switches, we do require the wireless access points. So now we need to describe that what is the purpose. Like when it comes to the switches, so switches are utilized to allow two or more devices to communicate with each other, as well as they connect individual devices with each other. So we can write connect individual devices and allows them to communicate with each other. Okay, now it's a wireless access point. So for the wireless access point, you may say that they allow the connection of the devices utilize and they are utilizing the radio signals basically. They also allow the central devices to send and receive radio signals, and they also allow the wireless enabled devices to connect to the wired network. So we can pick few of the points. Allows wireless devices to connect and also to send and receive radio signals. Now the last one is the bridge. So obviously it is connecting two different lanes because it's a bridge, and it also makes the transmission of the data between the two networks. Yeah, but with the same protocols. So connects two different lanes, and also and allow to transmit data with same protocol. Do remember that it should be with the same protocol, otherwise they won't be allowed to connect. So one there was 1 mark for each. Coming to the third part, what does the third part says? Now the third part says the student can save their school files on a public cloud. Okay, now it's a public cloud. What is the public cloud? That it's easily be accessible by all. So identify two drawbacks of the student storing their file on the public cloud. So now the public cloud. So I just told you that public cloud is something that is accessible by all. So that's the thing. Now they are saying if you're going to store your data on the public cloud, so what is the drawback? So number one drawback, need a high quality, need an internet access, you can say, need an internet access to retrieve data. And the other one could be um, no control over the backup of the data because it's a public cloud, so you do not have any control over the backup of data. Okay, because it's a public cloud, so obviously it's not a hybrid or a private cloud. If it would be, so you can easily access the backups. But over here, you can't access the backups. So this is the major drawback. By like God forbids if anything happens to the data, so you are not accessible to your backup as well. So that's the major issue. Okay, now they're saying a new classroom is being set up with 20 computers and a switch. Explain one advantage of implementing a star topology instead of a bus topology in the new classroom. Okay, now they're saying star topology rather than a bus topology. So you may say um, in the star topology, will be less prone to collision of data. Why collision of data? Because it is having a different path for each and every device. Each and everything is on the individual path. Okay, and apart from there, apart from this, and because it's for 2 marks, so you need to write two things or two advantage. Although they have said explain one advantage of implementing, but it's for the 2 marks, so that will be more beneficial if you can write two. Otherwise, because they have mentioned one, so that would be enough. I didn't see that part, sorry, but they have mentioned one, so that would be enough. So I can just write it in this particular manner. Sorry. Start topology will be less prone to the collision of data. They will be off data, and the other thing could be more easy to connect new devices. You can write down this one as well. Sorry, I didn't see that one with the one advantage part. Okay, now moving ahead to the next part. Now they are saying question number 3, that's regarding the database. So when it comes to the database, now what is the first thing they are saying? They are saying a shop manager has designed a relational database to store customers' order. The database will have the following tables. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 tables over here. The first table is with the customer, that is having customer ID as the primary key because it's underlined over here. It do have a first name, it do have a last name, it do have a town. Shop order is having a primary key order number, then we do have a customer ID over here, order date. Then supplier is having a primary key, supplier ID is the primary key, email address, telephone number. Item is having an item number as the primary key, supplier ID, description, price. Order item is having a primary key as item number, order number, quantity. Okay, item number and order number are from the other ones, so they are foreign keys over here. Now they are saying complete the entity relationship diagram for the relation database. Now, what is the entity relationship diagram? We need to see that. Entity relationship diagram means that what is the relationship between each and every entity between of the similar database. So first of all, we need to check it out. The customer is having the relationship with what? So customer is having a relationship with the shop order. How do we know that? Because the customer is having the fields, customer ID, first name, last name, and town, whereas the shop order is having the order number and the customer ID is similar over here and order date. So that is the reason that the customer is having a relation with customer shop order. Now, what type of relation? So one customer can have multiple shop orders. So that's a one to many relationship. Similarly, shop order. The shop order were having order number, customer ID, and order date, whereas the supplier is having supplier ID, email address, and telephone number. No connection. Then we can check out for the item. So it's having item number, supplier ID, description, and price. Again, no connection. Yeah, but with the order item, it is having a connection. It was having the order number, customer ID, and order date. So we do have an item number, order number is the same over here, and quantity. So shop order will be again having one to many relationship with the order item. Coming towards the supplier, the supplier was having supplier ID, email address, and telephone number. So now supplier ID, we can find it out in the item. So again, supplier will be having a one to many relationship with the item because one supplier can have multiple items. Whereas we are remained with the item. So item is having a link with the order item. If you can see item number, and again, that's a one to many relationship over here because one item can be there in multiple order items according to the order number. Now they are saying in the in the second part, identify three advantages of a relational database compared to the file-based approach. Okay, now first of all, let me define you with the relational database and the file-based approach. So file-based approach is something where you have just created a access or Excel sort of the file, and you need to have it again and again, again and again. But when it comes to the database, so database is something that you are creating up a relationship. You are creating a relational database where you are making the normalization factors as well as you are removing all sort of the redundancies as well out of it. So removing all sort of the redundancies will obviously help you out in making of the thing easier to run and execute the complex queries as well, and to just check it out in the program data is like independent. You do not have the dependencies over there. The data integrity will be quite easy, or quite improved, you may say. Redundancy won't be there. So these are few of the things that will be over there. Okay, now the first thing. So we can start with the integrity part. So improved data integrity. Second thing is that you may say less redundancy. Less redundancy of data. And the third part, you may say complex queries, the SQL queries. Complex queries can be executed easily. So these are few of the things that you can do over here. Now coming to the next part. Okay, now they do say write a structured query language SQL script to define the database called shop. Okay, now you need to write a SQL script to define. That means you need to create up the thing. And the database, you need to create up a database and with the name of the shop. So that's quite easy. You need to create up the thing, you need to define up the thing. So you will be utilizing the keyword create. The keywords are in capital. Do remember that. You cannot write any of the keyword in small. Create, what you need to create, you need to create our database. So database will also be in small. It might be the table as well, depends on what they are asking for. And then you need to create our shop. Now the variables should be in a similar pattern as they have given. So they have given in the block letter. So you need to write it in the block letters as well. Now they are saying write the SQL script to return the total quantity of items that the customer with the ID of HJ231 has ordered. So what we need to do? First of all, okay, let's see once more. Write the SQL script to return the total quantity. Total quantity means we need to have the total of that quantity, or you may say the sum of that quantity. So we will be saying select. What do we need to select? We need to select the sum. Sum of what? We need to select the sum of the quantity from. Where do we need to select it from? From order item. Now, how do I know that it's from order item? Let's see. They are saying select the quantity. So quantity was, where was it? Quantity was over here in the order item. Okay. There was order number as well. Do remember that. So order number will be joining with the shop order. Okay. Because quantity will be of the order number, obviously. Item number is not required over there. Do remember that thing. So order item, comma, shop order. Shop order. Where? Now the third keyword. Where? What will be there in the where? Order underscore item dot order number. That completely says के order underscore item का जो आपके पास टेबल है उसमें से order number should be equivalent to shop order, the other table, shop underscore order dot order number. Order number. And one more thing, we are talking about the ID as well. So this and will be in the capital because it's a logical and shop order dot, sorry, it was a shop order dot customer ID equals to add j to 31. So this is how we need to write it down. Sorry, semicolon. So, okay, now coming to question number 4. So before coming to the question number 4, we will be discussing in the next phase of this video, inshallah. So just have a look on the next phase. Thank you so much, guys. Allah Hafiz for this phase.